want to thank the organizers for having me today. I'm not going to lie, I'm very nervous. I've spoken on a lot of public stages, but I've never had to refer to my phone for notes, only because I haven't been feeling very well these last couple of days. So please excuse me when I refer to my phone for my talking points. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here with you because this is an issue. Gender equality is something very important for co-op, for me personally, and it's an honor for me to be here with you and lend the male voice to this very important cause in Armenia. We girls can't eat ice cream in our villages because of how it's perceived. I don't feel comfortable wearing sunglasses in my village because people will think, why is she wearing sunglasses? I always wanted to join the military as a young child, but recently, when I told my parents, they said, no way, you're a girl, and the military is no place for a girl. My family feels it is disgraceful for me to wear a short skirt above my knees, or any shorts for that matter. I want to go to university, but my parents or my brother won't allow it because university education is not for girls. Recently, I visited 7 villages in the Armenia region of Armenia, which co-op supports for over 20 years now. And I spoke to students, mixed girls and boys, and the presentation of the purpose of my visit was to explore national identity versus personal identity, what the relationship between those are. We explored how various social influences rural youth are often forced to incorporate national identity into their personal identities by adopting beliefs, values, assumptions, expectations, which align with their perceived national identity, which are often social constructs. In rural regions of traditional countries like Armenia, girls often face numerous challenges that can hinder their personal development, education, and overall well-being. These challenges are deeply rooted in cultural norms, societal expectations, and lack of resources. Now, what is interesting to note is that even though rural girls face these challenges, more girls are enrolled in co-op education programs, more girls end up going to university and are scholarship recipients from co-op. So, in addition to empowering girls, there's also a lot of work that needs to be done to empower boys in this country. Because boys also need to value the importance and the power of education, and this in turn will lead to more gender equality. But that's a subject for another time because today we're here for the girls. But that symbiotic relationship needs to exist so that there's true gender equality, and through education, boys will also realize and not be threatened by a girl wanting to advance. So I didn't put together a PowerPoint with statistics and things because I feel like it gets redundant. But what I am going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the main challenges. Some of you know the challenges, especially if you live in Armenia or you come from a country that's traditional and conservative like Armenia. So we're going to discuss some of the challenges that co-op has observed, some of the solutions co-op has implemented. So co-op, for those of you that don't know, Children of Armenia Fund, our mission is in rural Armenia. So for the past 2 decades, we've been adopting comprehensive approaches to promote gender equality, improve access to education and healthcare, and challenge harmful cultural norms that I discussed earlier. It is imperative that we continue empowering girls and providing them with equal opportunities, which will not only benefit them, but also contribute to the overall development and progress of rural societies and Armenia as a whole. Here are some of the key challenges girls face and the crucial role of education in empowering rural girls. In many rural communities, girls are expected to perform and prioritize household chores and other responsibilities, which often take over their education. They often lack access to equal quality education, which is where COAF and other NGOs fill the gap by providing modern education programs both in their villages as well as at the Smart Center in the Lower region of Armenia. So these programs, I'm going to go off my notes a little bit, include things that we've implemented like debate clubs, like student councils in their village schools to give these girls a louder voice. Girls are often married off young, which deprives them of higher education opportunities. What we've come to see, not only in Armenia but around the world, is that education is one of the most effective ways to combat child marriage and early pregnancies. When girls are in school, they are more likely to delay marriage and childbirth as they prioritize their education and future prospects. Another huge challenge is deeply ingrained gender roles and stereotypes, which restrict their opportunities and perceptions of their capabilities as girls. They are often expected to conform to traditional gender norms, limiting their freedom to explore their interests and potential. Education empowers girls to participate in decision-making processes at the family and at the community levels. When girls are educated, they are more likely to have a voice in important matters such as family planning, household finances, and community development. Girls also face fewer economic opportunities, making it a challenge for them to be financially independent. Lack of access to financial resources and job opportunities can further perpetuate gender disparities. Education, and I keep repeating education, is a powerful tool in breaking the cycle of poverty. When girls receive an education, they are more likely to secure better job opportunities and earn higher incomes in the future. This economic empowerment can have a positive effect not only on the girls themselves, but also on their families and their communities. Girls in rural regions often face high rates of gender-based violence, including domestic violence, sexual assault, and harassment. These are all very taboo subjects in Armenia, but it exists. Fear of violence can prevent girls from accessing education or participating in community activities, which is why COAF, through our network of psychologists, social workers, works with girls and families and women to try and combat these things. Limited access to technology and information can hinder exposure to the wider world, modern ideas, and opportunities for personal growth. This digital divide can further exacerbate existing inequalities. The beauty of this is, you can tell when I'm going off my talking points. I remember 11 years ago when I started working for COAF, internet was a luxury in rural Armenia. It still is, but most of the kids used to have to buy these USBs and pay for them, and it was a very expensive thing. So I'm glad to say that the digital divide is actually, there's more and more Wi-Fi in the homes, which gives these kids more exposure to different ways of doing things. Going back to the one thing, cultural norms and safety concerns may restrict mobility outside their homes, limiting their ability to participate in social and educational activities beyond their vicinity. Education can challenge traditional gender norms and stereotypes prevalent in rural societies. By promoting the value of girls' education, these norms can change gradually, leading to more opportunities and equality for girls and women. This is especially true with girls in rural Armenia who want to pursue higher educations in Yerevan or in Vanadzor or in Gyumri. Oftentimes, the traditional thinking makes the parents say, no, there's no way you're going to leave the village, and we don't know what you're going to do in the cities. So this is also a major issue, let alone going out of the house at a certain hour in their villages as girls is considered amot. Girls in rural regions often lack support systems and role models to help them navigate challenges and make informed decisions about their lives. When girls receive an education, they become role models for younger generations. This positive cycle of inspiration can lead to more girls aspiring for education, further empowering rural communities in the long run. This is something very important that I've also noticed. It's one thing to go as a diasporan Armenian or even an Armenian from Yerevan and speak to these girls, but when the role models come from within the communities, that's the most powerful role model for these girls and boys to see that anything is possible when they see somebody else from a rural community in Armenia with achievements and success. Educated girls are more likely to make informed decisions about their health and the health of their families. They are better equipped to understand healthcare information, access essential services, and adopt healthier behaviors, leading to overall improved well-being. This is a big cornerstone of our health programs, which teach these girls about various things, about reproductive health, especially. Education instills confidence and self-esteem in girls. As they acquire knowledge and skills, they gain a sense of empowerment and belief in their capabilities, enabling them to pursue their goals and dreams. Education fosters leadership skills in girls, enabling them to become agents of change in their communities. Educated girls are more likely to take on leadership roles and contribute to the development and progress of their societies. Education can help girls challenge and overcome social and cultural barriers that hinder their progress. As they become more educated, they engage in dialogue and advocate for their rights and equality. Dialogue is something very important. As a male who's been working for co-op for 11 years, oftentimes girls are not even brought into the dialogue. And I see this a lot of the time with my colleagues. I'm gonna veer off a little bit from rural Armenia, but it's something that I'm very sensitive to. My colleagues who are females oftentimes will be sitting in business meetings with me, and if there's a male from Yerevan who's sitting in the meeting, they're only focusing on me, and they're not looking at the female in their conversation. It's almost as if she doesn't exist. And when she does open her mouth, it's a brief glance, and then it's back to me, okay? Maybe because I'm born in the West, I'm more sensitive, and I pick up on these things because I grew up in a family that did not have these issues about this is a girl, this is a boy. These are very important things that have bothered me. And I'm here talking to you more. I'm not a sociologist. I'm not an educator. I'm a fundraiser. But I've been in and out of these villages, and I know my people, and I know my kids. And when I spoke to Seda Papoyan about what I'd witnessed recently, she said, you need to come and talk. Yeah, a lot of this is not news to you, but it's something that a male needs to talk about and let you guys know that this is not just a women's issue. This is a more universal and national issue in Armenia. Where was I? Educated girls can contribute to community development through their knowledge, skills, and active participation in various initiatives. They can play vital roles in addressing local challenges and finding sustainable solutions. God knows what Armenia would have been if the women in this country for over 30 years didn't play the role that they have as leaders, whether it's undercover leaders or in-your-face leaders. This country would not be what it is today if it wasn't for our women. And it's not only for the last 30 years, I can even say for centuries. So let's clap to that. My portion is over. I didn't want to drop statistics. All I can tell you is the reason why co-op was founded 20 years ago was to serve the most isolated, neglected rural regions of Armenia. We don't have a presence in Yerevan. Our founder, Garo Adman, felt very strongly about providing opportunities, tools, and resources for Armenia's rural youth to advance, to live their full potential, and to dream beyond what's expected of them as village children, whether they're girls or boys. And we stay committed to that, not only to empowering girls, but also empowering boys and the entire new generation in rural Armenia. And so, in a nutshell, I wanted to spell out challenges girls face in rural Armenia and in many rural countries in the developing world. And I want to emphasize that the only solution, based on what we've seen over the last 20 years, is education, which is why every bullet that I mentioned started with education, education, education. It is the only way for systematic change in this country to take part. Because what we've been seeing also is by educating the younger generation, they educate the older generation and challenge stereotypes and different outdated mentalities. So it's from a bottom up that you see that kind of systematic change. So again, education is the cornerstone in this battle for gender equality. And I hope that it's not a battle. And I hope that I'm not saying anything revolutionary, because yesterday I was talking to my father in Los Angeles and I was like, Bob, I'm gonna read my notes off my phone, something I've never done. He goes, that's okay, Dras, but he goes, I'm more concerned about the topic and how people in Armenia are dealing with these issues. And I said, you know what? I hope there comes the time when what we're talking about are not revolutionary ideas about gender equality, and that it's normal, and that it's part of a civilized country and a civilized society, okay, and a civilized culture, to naturally embrace these ideas and not think that they're revolutionary concepts. So on that note, thank you for giving me this platform. Again, I have never, ever done a speech looking at my phone, so I thank you. I didn't mean to sound like a Wikipedia, but I had to put all that down. I wanted to spare you with data and percentages and whatnot. And when I was invited to speak today, I accepted it because it's such an important issue for me. And I wanted to lend the male voice, but I also told the organizers, I want somebody from a co-op village, a girl, who has gone through all of these challenges, to come up and share with you all her experience. So on that note, please welcome a young lady very dear to me from the village of Karagert, the very first co-op village that we launched our efforts. Please welcome Khanoum Gevorgian.
I think this one works. Yeah. Thank you, Haig. It's truly a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Like Haig said, I am Khanoum. I'm from a co-op village, Karagert. And what can I say? Karagert has a lot of apricots. It's vibrant with colors, with love, with everything that you can think of when it comes to an Armenian village. But unfortunately, it also has all the challenges that Haig just shortly mentioned. And I'm one of the girls in Armenia who had to break through all of these stereotypes to be able to be accepted in her own village as she is today. So my grandma, my mother and I, we represent 3 generations in Armenia. We have completely different value systems, we have completely different experiences, and these experiences have shaped a completely different people out of us. So now imagine 3 people like that in one household. It's rewarding, it's really rewarding, truly rewarding, I'm being honest with you. But sometimes, just sometimes, it can be a nightmare. But don't tell my grandma, she'll be pissed at me if I told you this, but it can be a nightmare sometimes because of the exact same reasons. We have completely different ways of thinking, we have completely different mentalities. And actually the other day I was discussing with my mom yet another topic related to Armenia and how to be an Armenian woman, or who is an Armenian woman in reality. And mid-conversation she told me that very exhaustedly, and I understand her because I've put her in a spot and she has to deal with it, but she was like, why do we always have to be the first to do something in the village? She was tired of it because people always question her. Why is Khanoum the first person to leave the village at the age of 17 to go abroad? Why is Khanoum, I don't know, coming home at midnight or past midnight? That's not something that every girl does. So she has all this pressure and I'm putting her in this spot and she has to deal with it. So today, my message for you, I guess, is that when we want to bring change in Armenia, we have to always remember that change, especially when it comes to equality, it has no generational limit. When you try to bring change in the rural parts of Armenia, you have to not only start with yourself, but also take all the other women who are behind the curtains, behind the scenes, pushing you towards freedom, accepting values that you have that are quite wild for them. So I really want to ask you kindly to be kind towards your grandparents, your parents, your mothers, I don't know, your aunts, who sometimes can be really different from the way you are, but they're also a part of the change. Because if you started somewhere, if you are the first person to do something different in your village, then this change goes around, it multiplies through all generational dimensions. So this is what I had. I hope this is what Haig wanted me to bring to you. But this is a part of my experience that I wanted to share with you. So when you grow, make sure that you take other women with you. And not only women coming after you, women in generations younger than you, but also older than you. They are also all in for the freedom. They just need a little bit of explanation why they need to have the same rights as, for example, their husbands, their sons, and everyone else in the country. That, for sure, will bring change. And I'm really happy to see that happening in Armenia, or at least in some parts of Karakert. So thank you so much. I will now leave. Bye.